no news, no reporting, just straightforward. What would be some of the coolest things Asha Sharma could do for Xbox in her first year? That's the main topic, because it's just something that I want to have a back and forth, a good game over, a codename good game. And to do that with me today, I have Sir Nick from the Friday Night Gamecast. And Nick, it's been a while, actually. I was looking through our past episodes. I think the last time I had you on was when they announced Indiana Jones is coming to PS5. So it's been a bit. Welcome, sir. Welcome back to Codename Good Game. How's it going?
Every time Xbox has a transition, a tension in the force calls me onto Codename Good Game. Tony, it's been a minute. I'm so happy to be here, man. I'm so excited. I have been absorbed by the Xbox news this week and the shakeups that has been happening in the industry. And I'm really, really excited to get into it with you today.
I think I literally, when I reached out to you, you were just like, dude, I have so many thoughts. But the issue with this episode is that there's going to be thoughts that we don't dive into. Because, like, seriously, I am going to try to focus us on that question. I do also want to kind of segue us into it by just giving a shout out to Phil and some of the stuff that he did in his opening years to earn faith from him, you know, and that's going to be kind of a retrospective to answer the question as to what Asha could do as the new head of Xbox. But Nick, before that, we're going to dive into that, but it's been a bit since you've been on the show. I want to acknowledge that you are our front runner for our 2026 Fantasy Critic. Is it 4 mighty games in a row?
We're on a good run. We're having a good run. We're having a good start to the year.
I need to double check that. If they're all 4 mighties, that's crazy.
I think
people don't know. Basically, Fantasy Critic, it's a game we're drafting things that will be highly reviewed. That's it. Okay.
Yeah. Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined, I think, dropped down to an 84, which just edges it out to a high strong. But 84 is still, I mean, that's good.
Is 84 strong? I thought like 83 was strong.
I thought 85 is the mighty definition. I could be wrong.
85 is for sure mighty. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The 84, because I remember Battlefield 6 was an 84 and it was like mighty. I'm like, oh my God, we finally have a mighty Battlefield 6. And then went down by 1 and then it became a strong. And I was like, shit. You were like, no. I love seeing a new Battlefield finally at mighty. Like,
yeah. It's so it leveled out with 125 open critic reviews at an 84, which is still classified as mighty. So it's just, it's on that borderline. So we're still there.
Yeah, man. I'm talking with Kelvin and Rob behind the scenes because we have this voice app thing, and Kelvin's just like, listen, we have to stop this man. And I'm just like, Rob and I are like, listen, man, we're looking at the numbers is all. I'm not saying it's over, but we're just looking at the numbers right now, and it's pretty daunting. And Kelvin's like, no, you have to believe. That's not true.
Yeah, and guess what? 37 minutes bids for this week open up, and so you can see what's happening. I'm sure there's going to be some more people making moves behind the scenes. We'll see what happens there, but I'm real confident in this year, man. I feel really good. I feel great about Mina, especially after it being shown at the PlayStation Showcase. Yeah. I must be the only person in the world that is high on Lego Batman, but this is the first. I'm with
Batman. You. It looks awesome. This is the Arkham game we didn't get.
You said that. Yeah,
this is the Arkham game we didn't get.
Exactly. It's the Arkham game that we should have gotten by Rocksteady, but now we're getting it through the Lego team. So I'm excited for it. Jono clearly disagrees with me, but the proof is in the pudding. So we'll see how that goes. Well, it could go either way. It could drop down. Yeah. So it's how the year goes. I have been marinating on my second counter pick.
I was gonna say, in terms of like, you and I are on an episode right now. You and I are here together. You counterpicked my game. Crimson Desert. Now, I understand. I understand why you counterpicked it. And I understand why I picked it, because I just want to do the opposite of what I did with Expedition 33 last year. But man, Kelvin's like so convinced. He's just like, that game is going to be such a banger and it's going to kill him. I'm like, I hope so. I'm sure he doesn't hope so, but I hope so. But we'll see.
I mean, I think the reality is that it's going to come out to mixed reviews. I think that's the strongest thing I can say about it. I think it is doing so much. I think. That's my opinion. Take my opinion for what you will. I am no professional industry analyst, just an indie industry
However,
analyst.
I am in the lead, so it's like my opinion is pretty good.
There you go. You said it, not me. But I think you were talking about it in the server today, and we were talking about the complexity of the combat, and I was like, hey, look, fighting games are pretty complex, and you were like, no, you don't understand. You don't get it.
You don't understand.
Next level.
That's why when we did the drafts, Kelvin literally said, he was like, Tony, that's really interesting because you played that game and you said you weren't feeling it and you're drafting it. I'm like, I know, but I'm just one person. So
that's true. And that's true. And I will say the open world looks impressive. The systems look impressive. All of the things that I didn't expect kind of are starting to slowly sell me, especially how confident the team is about the game. And I love to see that confidence. And it just means that we're going to get something new, something different. And I think that's what's most exciting about this game. Last thing on this, on Crimson Desert, is that my co-host, Will Adeshina of the Friday Night Gamecast, he is the biggest Dragon's Dogma / Capcom fan you will ever meet. And I hated Dragon's Dogma so much for everything it didn't do, everything it scratched the surface on. And we both have come together and we're like, Crimson Desert is doing what Dragon's Dogma 2 tried to do. And that's scary because if they pull it off, it's going to be cool. It's going to be great game.
That's literally, if there's one phrase for Crimson Desert, if they pull it off. That's literally the phrase. If they pull it off.
If they do it.
If they pull it off.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see, man. But we are transitioning into what I would say is finally getting out of the lull of, which is kind of a common occurrence, I feel. Not always, but January and February is usually pretty slow months for gaming. And I've been enjoying it, man. I've been playing so much Helldivers 2. As I would say to people, if you want to get the P, you got to serve democracy, whatever. We just fought on Cyberstan. It was dope. And I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's pretty great. I'm sure you are curious about that, but
I'm very curious. I want to talk to you for an hour about that.
I know you do. Long story short, it is amazing, but I do see the filler. That's the nutshell. That's a nutshell of my thoughts. I see the filler, but when the filler's not happening, I'm loving it. It's Final Fantasy 16 all over again. Anyways. But I played some good stuff with Game Pass, but now we're transitioning into March, which is when Crimson Desert happens, which is Replaced was going to happen. There was Marathon's happening. The play test is happening this weekend. And Nick, you are taking this weekend off for
Resident Evil Requiem. Resident Evil.
It begins with Resident Evil Requiem. I feel like Resident Evil Requiem just kicks off the year, honestly. Which sounds bad, but I feel like it's true. Yeah.
My only thing about Resident Evil is that I hope that, I think this doesn't matter because if you're a fan of the game, you're a fan of the game. But my hope is that during November, and you know what happens in November, during the November time, people don't forget how good Resident Evil Requiem is.
Oh,
that's all I'm saying.
I mean, that's an early on game. And last year, Monster Hunter Wilds, people thought that might get nominated for Game of the Year. And then the year went on and it's nah. So we'll see. We'll see.
And there's not a horror game category, right? It's just action.
Should be. There should be.
Yeah. There should 100% should be. We have to do it.
Yeah.
Let's write to Jeff. Let's make it happen.
Let's write to Jeff. But anyways, that's some banter. And I would love to know what you've been playing and just what you think of the lull. But your also thing that I would like to know is you watching, the viewer or listening, what could Asha Sharma, I keep downing myself when I say that because she's a nobody. We've never met her or seen her before. So it's I know Asha. I keep saying Asha over. So I might just say Asha a lot during this.
You could just say Asha.
Yeah. But she is the new head of Xbox. I feel like everybody that at least I'll call them the 10% that follow news stuff knows this. It was huge story last week. A story that overshadowed the day after Blue Point gets shut down. It's just oh, by the way, the new head of Xbox is happening and Phil Spencer's leaving Monday. It's just the fuck?
Sony's marketing team is undefeated. They are undefeated. And it's all because of Xbox.
They probably tell Microsoft hey, listen, we have bad news coming up Thursday. You want to follow that up for us? We got you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which honestly, I don't even know. Again, this is conversations that we won't dive into, but some might say it's not necessarily bad news. It's just really, really interesting news. Like we don't know. Like Rob and Kelvin, I listened to their recent episode of Gaming Duo, and they're just like, benefit of the doubt. Who knows? But that's what I kind of want to transition us to, is like, if there's a benefit of the doubt, what could Asha do in her first year to really earn, I'll call it good faith, goodwill, whatever, with fans in her first year? And to kind of segue to that, Nick, I want to bring up like Phil Spencer, because I feel like that's another problem with this news story, is that Phil's retiring. Phil, who's worked at the company for literally his entire adult work life, I think. He started as an intern and everything, and he worked his way up through the ladder. He was the Matt Booty before Matt Booty, and then he became the CEO. And when he started, a lot of people looked at Uncle Phil, and he was like a great face, some would say, or whatever. And, recent stuff, it's been a lot of controversy and whatnot, maybe. But the thing about Phil that, there's things to recognize. And I feel like it's a little bit sad with Asha getting into office. What I'll say is like, it just kind of has overshadowed the retirement of Phil Spencer. And so I just want to mention some of the things he did in his opening years that I think, maybe this inspires the conversation of like Phil Spencer in his first year in office, whatever, I'll keep saying that. Like he saw the problem with the Xbox One and everything that they dug into, and they're $100 more than the PlayStation 4. So in my first year in office, let's make that Connect thing not mandatory, and we will lower the price of our system by $100, and that way we are on the level of the PS4 in terms of accessibility. And that was his first move. And then there was other things in the following years, like, hey, backwards compatibility, let's do that. Like nobody else is doing that, and like why are we? That's a really cool thing. And he championed crossplay. I don't think, maybe Phil Spencer was the one that really pushed crossplay as a thing by a couple years. Game Pass, like that was 2017, so we're a couple years later, but he kind of brought Game Pass. Now, some might debate if Game Pass was beneficial or not, but like for us, the consumers, that's how I played Hellblade. That's how I played Outer Wilds, my favorite indie game of all time. I played Undertale. I played so many cool games, discovered new studios with it.
33 through
Expedition 33. A lot of people probably found that through that, and that was kind of the thing that made, I'll probably bring up my final point, and I'm curious about you, and I'll stop talking, is like, to me, the highlight, like there's a lot of questions as like, I guess my question to you, what do you think was a big, it could be something I mentioned or not, but like, what do you think was your favorite Phil Spencer moment? Like I could think of a lot of them. Yeah. And I was leading up to mine, but I want to stop myself and just let you say, like, what do you think was something really cool that Phil did that, I don't know, you kind of would look back and go, yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. It's going to be less business oriented and more personally anecdotal through my experience and my lens of just paying attention to Xbox and paying attention to how they've changed so much from a cultural standpoint and a business standpoint. I think like with Phil, obviously he's done so many things, but the thing that I'll never forget about Phil is, I think it was like 2024, in the midst of all of the companies and the businesses telling everyone, hey, let's come back into the office. COVID is over. We're returning to work. It's back to business as usual. And then I see a lot of my game time suddenly vanish and disappear, and I'm more consumed by work. I'm more consumed by social events. And at the end of the year, when everybody posts their Xbox achievement wrapped, or I don't think Xbox has like an official Xbox wrapped version of theirs, but it's like, True Achievements, puts that out.
True Achievements,
and I remember looking at Phil's True Achievement post on Twitter, and this man having significantly more trophies and more hours gamed, the CEO of one of the biggest gaming brands in the world, gaming more than me, who runs a video game podcast. I grabbed my head, because on one hand it was like inspirational, because how the heck did that man pull that off while running a multi-billion-dollar business and completing an Activision acquisition, while and then just like getting Vampire Survivors in. I think he got 1,000 in that sucker, man. Like, what are we talking about? And so it goes to show that Phil, he represented us as a community. And I think that it's really powerful to show like how well you can do and how high you can rise up the ranks if you're truly passionate about what you do and you're truly passionate about where you work. And I think that that's a message that I think more people should try to take home, to drive towards something that you love if you have the capacity to do that. Some folks, you know, God bless them, they just don't have the ability to go towards that, and so they'll make do with what they can. But I think it's something one of my executives in my company said to me personally, you know, while we were, you know, in a standing room session with a bunch of people in my department, is that you have to love the job you do no matter what. And that is going to take you places. And I think that's true. No matter where you're at, and I think it's true
fully
for
agree.
Phil, and it shows in how in all of the good things he's accomplished. I think there's a lot of like critics in the industry that would say, "Oh, well, if you look at the numbers, blah 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 blah," but like Xbox, and I was going to say this for later, but I'm going to say this now. In 2025, had a record-breaking gross revenue year at $23.45 billion in gross revenue. That is the legacy that Phil is leaving, and that is the legacy that Asha is stepping into. There's more context with those numbers. We can get into that later. But yeah, like, and that's an achievement. And I think going out where he is, it's happening now, but you know, good for him, and I hope he has more time to play games now.
Yeah, that's true. He has more time to play games. Dude, I looked at Phil and I feel like I'm the only one that said this anywhere, but like I look at that man physically the past 2 years and I felt like I could see him age. Like I felt like he was losing weight.
He lost
his teeth,
so much
his
weight.
hair,
Yeah.
like everything. Just I saw him age in rapid time the past 2 years, and I do wonder if that's because of like all the stress and everything, and because that can do it, you know. But hopefully it's just that, and it's not anything serious or anything, you know. But I think that's a lovely memory, because that's the thing I think a lot of people really liked about Phil, is that they always felt like Phil was a super authentic gamer. Like he genuinely did love video games. That's kind of what really made him just think about a lot of the things. Obviously he runs a business, he has to make money and everything, and he's trying to look out for the studios and address the problems that the fans are saying. He has a lot he's balancing, but he never felt like he was a fake gamer ever. Like he didn't feel like one of those CEOs that would just hold the controller and for the sake of the pick, you know. And to me, my biggest memory, like yours is way more personal and beautiful, but to me it was like I just felt like when he stepped on stage in E3 of 2018 and was just like, listen guys, I got the parents upstairs, because he's not ultimately the one in charge, he's running a division, you know, and I got the parents upstairs to give me a lot of money, and I'm actually expanding our teams. Like instead of just these 5 or 6 studios you see on the wall that's just basically Minecraft, Gears, and Halo, like we now have in Turn 10, we now have Ninja Theory, we now got Playground, we're trying to make a new studio. Obviously that didn't work out, but you know, like the effort was being made to like, we have these first party teams. By the way, if you're on Game Pass, you're going to play these people's games day one. And it's just like that. I love the expansion of Xbox Game Studios when he stepped on stage, and like even the audience, after he announced like two or three studios, he goes like, and we have another, and everybody was like, what? Like everybody was just like, the biggest moment you'll hear the audience pop off is backwards compatibility if you look at E3 clips. But I just love hearing the audience like progressively, as he started listing more, everybody was just like, there's more. And that was just a really cool moment. And that continued on next year with like Obsidian and Double Fine. But that was just a really cool moment of like, we're expanding our teams. We know we have a first party problem. And I like that Phil knew that. And he got the big boys upstairs to acknowledge that and give him the means to address that. And, you know, there's a lot of decisions that he did. Maybe, you know, people could question if it worked out or not. But I felt like, as somebody that was really into Xbox, and this is my segue to Sasha, is like, I felt like as somebody really into Xbox, that was a problem to me, is that like, I just didn't feel like there was enough first party output from Xbox. And here's Phil straight up addressing that issue of just acquiring studios and you know, serving those studios new games on a platter, and like, listen, Tim Schafer, we don't want you to make the next Halo. We want you to make whatever you want to make. He's like, okay, cool. Well, here's another trailer for Double Fine or Psychonauts 2 and so on. And
yeah,
I just, that was cool to me. That was what really actually made me fall in love with Xbox. You guys call me the Xbox boy, but honestly, that was the moment that made me an Xbox boy. I loved the idea of these first party studios. I get to play their games on a silver platter with Xbox Game Pass, and I'm just going to follow Xbox more because I just get to play their games if I invest in their ecosystem. So those are the kind of moves that I'm curious now to get to the main topic. Like, what could Sasha do as somebody, Nick, you said, she's not a gamer like Phil is. She's trying to learn it. She's trying to submerge herself in it as best you can do. And we don't know her, so it's like, that's why I beg the question. What can Asha do in her first year as the new head of Xbox to really earn some goodwill with Xbox fans? I would like to keep this in the realm of like, I don't know, maybe we could say impossible shit. Maybe we could say possible, but like, I'm just curious about like each of us sharing 2 ideas for her. And also I'm going to shout out the community. You guys got some picks, but Nick, I'll let you go first if you got one, or I can go first, but
yeah, the things that I'm going to say, Tony, aren't super exciting or outlandish.
Yeah, okay. See, that's the hard part. It's like, I have things listed and I'm just like, there's some that are not exciting. And then there's some that are exciting. And I'm like, I don't know which would earn goodwill better. Like that's the hard part.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think the reality is that, as you said, she's a relative unknown to the gaming industry. And I just to address that point specifically, and I will get to my thought, my hope, my desire for like maybe what she could do to instill the confidence in the consumers but the reality of where she's come from is the fact that Microsoft has a blatant AI strategy. That is, they are an AI first company, and that is her work history. And I think that her role here, through Satya Nadella, and I'm not coming through this from a critical lens or negative lens. It's just, I think just the realism of where we are right now is that Satya Nadella has spent vastly more than what Phil Spencer spent on Activision Blizzard, right? On doubling down on the AI infrastructure in Microsoft's overall investiture into cloud services as well as data centers across the board. We're talking, Microsoft's revenue, gross revenue, that $23.45 billion, bundled together with the rest of the personal computing segment of Microsoft, comprised only 17.64% of the overall revenue of fiscal year 26. Oh. And that is, and that sounds like a small number.
Yeah.
when you think about it,
but yeah.
But the thing is that, the reality is that AI Microsoft specifically is an AI first company, and Asha Sharma, that is, that's her background. And so
if I could interject it for a moment here, would you say an AI first company or a software first company? Because I think of software first with Microsoft. Really?
Microsoft is an AI first company.
Okay.
Software. I mean, there's a lot. So here's the thing. I am no industry analyst. I am no tech industry analyst.
Sure.
I am not an expert, but I've consumed a lot of the content specifically around this issue of where AI is pushing digital marketplaces as we move forward in the future. And that's really, really significant when you talk about what Microsoft's AI division is going to do to the rest of its digital services platforms. Xbox is within that umbrella of their personal computing digital services platforms. It would not be spending hundreds of billions, going on to trillions of dollars on local United States data centers if they didn't have the intention of using them within their own divisions, right? So we talk about, coming back around to Asha and what she can do for Xbox, what she can do to the consumers, right? Like I just wanted to lay that groundwork.
No, I get you. The setup.
This is the direction that we're heading, right? This is where we're coming from. I mean, Asha is coming from Instacart. She also has she has most recently, been involved with both Instacart and Meta in terms of working with their AI platforms. But also as a part of her work history, she's bundled digital services together and helped these companies come to an IPO. That is basically putting them on the stock market and helping, for people who don't know, IPO is when companies go from private to public, and you can buy a portion of their stock and put it in your portfolio, right?
Okay.
She's been responsible for that. And the thing is that with Instacart, she was the one that was able to help a lot of their services and bring it together to kind of compartmentalize their applications. It wasn't a really seamless company, and they realized that there was a niche in that market to compete with DoorDash, and she was able to bring Instacart forward to compete with DoorDash. And I'll be honest, today I am an Instacart user. I think it's a great platform. I'm a busy man. I can't go grocery shopping all the time, right? And so if you think about it through that lens, what can Asha do? I think one of the big things that she can do is by doubling down on shifting Xbox as a digital service studio that leads it to a publisher-only platform. That's going to sound crazy, but what that means is it means abandoning hardware. And I think if you really understand it, Keebs, hardware, where we're at right now, at this point in time, this might not be true 5 to 10 years down the line, but companies cannot afford to compete with Oracle or NVIDIA or CoreWeave for all the AI chips that are coming out of TSMC, right? And if Xbox wants to continue to provide digital services to consumers all over the world today, they have to find a marketplace within which to do that. So I think that the reality is that they have to find a way to make cloud service viable, which means 4K 60 frames per second, which I don't think is completely out of the realm of possibility if you look at GeForce Now.
I was about to say GeForce Now. Yep.
And so, you have to find a way to make that viable for most consumers, which also means a lot of other things. People need access to reliable internet, things that, could take time, but they also have to find a way to package their digital platform in a way that is competitive with the rest of the marketplace. So
that's where I want to jump in on this, because that's where I kind of question it to you, because I get everything you're breaking down, and then I come back to the core question, like to earn goodwill with peeps, and that's hard. That's really hard. And I get why you're saying now, like, it's not the most entertaining answer and everything. It's a realistic answer, but so that's the hard, and this isn't our job. This is the job of her and the PR people and everything, but it's just like, how would that be packaged? Like, how would that be an announcement that's like, we're scrapping our consoles, we're a publisher now, get excited, people. And it's just like well, wait a minute, like that's a tough one.
The groundwork has been laid, right? I don't know what the current numbers are, but when I was last looking at the numbers, we're looking at 30 million subscribers to Game Pass.
Yeah.
So somewhere around that ballpark, regardless of which tier in Game Pass you're in. I'm in the essential tier because I'm not a heavy Xbox user right now.
Me too.
But the thing is that they have to find a way to compete with people. And I'm going to be real with you, man. I don't think Sony has been their competitor for a long time. I think the services that Xbox and Sony are providing to the segment of the video game marketplace are so vastly different beyond, of course, when you look at things like, FC26 or, college football, like the sports and the guns titles, right? Like the Battlefields versus the, Call of Duties. Yes, these are similar products. These are similar things that they're packaging and they're bringing to the marketplace. But we think about their overall strategy for what they're doing with their first party studios. They're targeting such vastly different sectors of the market that I think that if we're being realistic, especially with how Microsoft and Xbox have partnered with AMD and a lot of the other, software/hardware companies, I think if we're seeing anything from Xbox in the future in the way of consoles that we can hold in touch, it's going to be through partnered services, whether it's Asus or Lenovo, whatever the case may be. We're going to see partnered Xbox platforms potentially in the future. I think the reality, though, is that Asha's job will be, if this ends up being her strategy, to make the Xbox digital platform the place where everyone wants to play.
Yeah.
Which means that you have to find a way to offer better deals than Steam. That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. So Nick, just to let me jump in, I want to kind of add to yours because sure. I'm hoping maybe we just have a comment off of each other's or whatever. And my thing is there was a lot of buildup there, and I get where you're going. And one of mine that I thought of was that I won't use it, but I'll just comment off of yours was clarity. That's just my word, is clarity. Because that's been Xbox's hugest problem, I would say, the past 2 years especially. especially the past 2 years, I would argue.
To the note, not to interject, but I just said stability. I literally have bold underlined stability.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot that could establish the stability, but like to me, it's just like the thing that I noted here is just establish this is Xbox instead of this is an Xbox. I want that where it's just like this is Xbox instead of this is an Xbox. Because what is an Xbox? You didn't establish what Xbox is, and to your point, that could be the platform, and so
it's a dilution of the product. That was the problem with that marketing campaign, is that it's diluting what the product is, and it's confusing.
What even is the product? Like exactly.
There's a million things. There's a million phones and laptops and TVs out there. Which one is the Xbox, right? And if you can't, and people are stupid. Not to say, and I'm not talking down to the Codename Good Game audience, but when we talk about consumers and investors both are dum-dums.
The 90%. The 90%, Yep.
Right? So like if they can't see the thing on a label in a box, what is the impetus for us to go out there and buy it? What is the thing that's driving us towards it?
I want to bring up my first one. And then I want to bring in an audience one. So if you're listening, like I got a couple comments of you guys saying, so I'm going to bring in YouTube community tab. And then at the end, I'm going to bring up my Twitter. But the thing that I want to add to it, because I think it kind of bounces off yours pretty well and might also contradict yours somewhat, maybe. We know there's something in the works. And I love the statement that she has, which is like, that's the plan until it's not a plan. That is the funniest statement I have ever heard in my life. I just want to say that really quick. I love that quote. That's the plan until it's not the plan. That is like, I am not locked into anything because I said that. So I just think that's funny anyways. But many things that Sarah and Phil said last year, and now I feel like the 3 promises that Asha was issuing, I want to talk about the console. Because that is what Xbox was. This is an Xbox. That is what Xbox was. And as you're alluding, your first thing is, establish a firm, maybe an Xbox publishing brand and wide to go, or the platform for it. My thing, I bring up console, but I feel like the console might be your answer to this, in a sense, where I do believe that the Xbox showcase this year could be the best showcase they have ever had. One of the best. I do believe that because of the timeline that certain studios have been doing certain things. I did a whole vid about that. But I do think during the showcase or on the Xbox anniversary, either or, that would be a good time if they really can commit to it. We're not, I'm going to throw, I know we have certain news things, whatever we could pay attention to, but just there's also things that are saying, oh yeah, it could be a 2027 console. So if they reveal that console this year, that's not the thing to earn goodwill. It's the means and what this console can do and stuff. And I'm not just talking about, it could have Steam on it. I'm talking about they simplify the specs, kind of like when Steam announced a Steam machine. It's like, it's 4 Steam decks put together. They make the specs easy to understand for the 90%. Quick resume is still a thing. I hope quick resume is still a thing. Steam is incorporated. Steam is still a part of it, that whole idea. But then, it's like, okay, why is this just going to be basically my Steam machine then? Well, this is the only, and they boldly say this. They can't say for now, or that's a plan until it's not a plan. Boldly saying, this is the only console that Game Pass exists. Every game you buy if you buy first party stuff here, you will get those games 10% off. And this console specifically, because it functions as a PC, offers free online.
Okay, so hold on, pause. I just want to clarify. So you're saying get rid of PC platforms and games on PC?
What do you mean?
And PC Game Pass?
There's talks about this too. They somehow, again, job of the PR market and everything, they somehow find a way to unify it, because they're going to have to do that if they're going to do this system. They're going to have to somehow figure out a way that it's like, hey, for this system, because it functions legally as a PC, you're not going to pay for online for this. Like, you get free online. And you can buy stuff on Steam. There's Steam sales, but just FYI, And maybe this is a bold ass thing for them to do, but maybe everything you buy on our console in our ecosystem, we give you a 10% discount. That's a crazy ass thing. But again, to earn goodwill, they do that because if they sell their games on Steam, they lose 30%. Yeah. But if they sell it in their market, we'll give them a 10% discount and keep that extra 20. They established this is where Game Pass is going to thrive. This is the best spot that you can have Game Pass. And somehow, again, Nick, I'm not saying this is realistic. I'm saying if you want to earn goodwill, somehow they do keep this system under $1,000. And it is a beefy ass boy. I'm not saying realistic. I'm just saying the question goodwill. Like, how did they do that? How did they do that? Somehow she makes it happen, you know, and they establish this system does this, and we managed to keep it at $9, even if it's $9.99, whatever, fine. But that could be a means to just be like, I thought it was going to be a $1,200 thing, and so on. Like, that's something I think could work out, but if you present it right. That's a thought.
I like that. I like it. Oh man, I don't want to pay over $1,000 for a console. I'm just saying, like, I know that like we have to get used to modern economics and like the marketplace, but and it is really, let's be real here. For anybody listening to the show and anybody that's tuning in and, you know, watching this on YouTube later, $1,000 is too much for a console. Okay.
It is.
$100 is too much for Grand Theft Auto. You should not be paying that much for video games. You should not be paying that much for consoles. The Steam box is going to come out to $1,100 to $1,200, and that is not normal. So just remember that. Sorry, I'm shaking my desk because I'm so emphatic.
No, No, I get it. That's what like, who knows? Maybe even if somehow they do, this would even be more crazy, but if they somehow cross market with GTA 6, that'd be pretty crazy too. But and just be like, amazing. Hey, just FYI, you know, PS5, even if the playful, I love the words too. She's like, we want to get back to our renegade nature. I'm like, you're saying all the right things. You're saying all the right things. But if she really meant that, it's like, I want to get back to our renegade nature. We're going to have a direct message that says, yeah, right now, PS5 Pro is the best spot you can play that. But just FYI, if you get it for the Xbox Marketplace, check out what we'll have next year. And it's like, oh, but, I would love playful shit like that. But anyways, I do want to bring in a community comment, but unless you just had something else to spin off that, but
no, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to bring up some community comments that before Nick and I bring up our second ideas from my YouTube community tab. I have 2 notes. So I'm just going to read them both and then we can comment. I see I'm going to read this because it's a hilarious name. Get erected. Get erected says nothing. Like, what could Sarah, sorry, Sarah, you're not CEO. What could Asha do? Nothing. Redditors and YouTubers will circle jerk each other about how Xbox continuously drops the ball. Despite giving them what they want, nothing will work. So that's a pessimistic view. But then C2 comes in and says, announce new hardware, but don't fuel the console war the way Phil did. I don't feel Phil ever fueled the...
Phil, yeah, I don't think he did.
Yeah, Phil never fueled the console war.
The community does that themselves.
The community does that. Yeah, like Phil was, of all the CEOs, I would say Phil was probably the one that's like, no, I don't care about the console war.
No, he was like quoted for that. He wants you to play anywhere, yeah.
Yeah, but C2, you're bouncing off of my idea, which is the hardware. And it's like, yeah, if you're going to have a console, you really have to promote what makes this console unique. And that's why I thought of those ideas as to be like the most prosumer idea. That's a gamble. It's very renegade. I'm not saying they'll do it, but if they did, it would be, again, the question of goodwill. So, Nick, what's your other one?
Well, and it's to loop back into what you said about clarity. I think clarity and stability are things that go hand in hand. And I think, like you said, like clarity is the thing that drives towards stability. I also want to be very clear because I'm a realist. I'm an objectivist at my core.
You're going to have boring ones, aren't you, Nick? Just kidding.
Xbox is going to have layoffs. Asha Sharma is going to announce layoffs. Studios are going to get closed down.
You better get to the goodwill part because that's the point. What's the goodwill part? It's going
to happen.
Okay.
But the way that you can see through that is that in the middle of that, Asha has to find a way. Asha and Matt Booty, I don't know how much presence he's going to have if for long. but they have to work together to find a way to empower their employees in the studios and lift them in a way while saying, hey, look, guys, this is bad, but we are committed to you. And it's like, this isn't even a marketplace thing. This is a conversation to be like,
yes, Nick.
I'm looking at you developers. We want to commit to you because you are the things that make these products great. And if they can foster that sense of community, they can foster that sense of competitive spirit. They say it all the time in my company. We want to bring the swagger back to, my company. Xbox needs to get their swagger back because, and this whole industry needs to in a way, but Xbox has to find their own way to enter that marketplace. And I think that they have a lot of things going for them. We talked about the Xbox Developer Direct and how cool that is and how in touch that is. They need to double down on that spirit. That's what says Renegade spirit to me. And by empowering their developers and empowering those studios to be like, you have this idea, we need you to execute on this. What do you need? What's stopping you from executing on it? What do you need? Here you go. That's what I wanted. That's what I want to see. And I want to see that communicated through the press.
That's the part is communicated. That's the tough part is the communicated part, because I do feel Phil was all about that. Like, that's what Phil was like. Even like another infamous moment of him was when he went on Kind of Funny after Redfall happened, and he had to answer some really bold ass questions and like take a lot of blows that day. And one of the ones, he's just like, the only thing that I want to advocate here, like right now, is I'm not going to step on the shoes of what my developers want to make. Like, if they want to make a game, we're going to work on it with them. We're going to help them and so on. But I'm with you. Like, Nick, I will say, of all the things that would get me like goodwill, I shared what was my favorite moment with Phil earlier about the whole studio acquisitions and building their first party portfolio. What you're saying, that was one of the ones I wrote. So like, I don't know, like I'll just spitball it with you, because maybe this is the way they communicate it. The way I would say it, like I wrote shutdowns, because so we basically were on the same page with this.
We're on the same page. Yeah.
Yeah. They're going to happen, but maybe what I thought of is like, because again, if we really try to think, how would you do this to get goodwill with the fans? I'm like, bring some studio, because you have to, again, public message. You can't do this behind closed doors, is bring studio heads together. Bring a few, like the main, maybe not even main bigwigs, but just bring some studio heads together, maybe even some unknown ones, who knows, and make a public statement or something that's on the record. And it's just like a really big message. Now, again, some people might say this is words, but some sort of statement that makes it sound like I am making a promise here. We are, and stick with me for this, we are done with studio closures. That's bold. Okay, but it would get people's attention. We're done with studio closures. If we ever feel, this is the asterisk, if we ever feel that Double Fine or all these peeps or whatever, if we don't have the means to keep supporting their visions, we are going to let them go independent. Oh shit, you're crazy. But that's basically what they did with Toys for Bob. They got Toys for Bob when they acquired Activision, and instead of shutting that studio down, they worked out a deal, and it's like, hey, supposedly make Spyro 4 for us, and you get to be independent. You're going to lose your office, half your employees. Granted, half those employees were part of the COD machine. So really they got to become the studio they want to be. And, we're not paying for your overhead anymore. You don't have as much job security, but you're still Toys for Bob. So, and we got our first project for you. So here you go. Like, if they make an announcement like that just lets people know we're no longer like shutting anybody down, we're not doing an initiative situation, some sort of messaging like that they do it with the studio heads around them or something, and they state it. That's what I want. I want to, like, I would be like, yo, that's crazy. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
100%. And I think this goes to your point with what you're saying about, I would love to see more divestitures like in the post-COVID world, in all of the studios that have been shut down and sold off. Like for, I think Tango Gameworks is like the perfect example. Like, it had to happen. They knew financially it had to happen. It's unfortunate timing that it happened at the apex of Hi-Fi Rush.
So
right?
crazy.
But the reality is if that Tango was going to get acquired by another corporation anyway, why was Microsoft's strategic and marketing team not involved in implementing that divestiture? I do this work. We do this work all the time at my job. Like, there are dots that aren't connecting, and I realize that there are expenses involved in divestitures, and that could be a huge reason where it's like, if it's way more efficient to just be like, sorry guys, you're getting severance and we're closing the studio. And that's the same reason why Sony did that. But it's like with Bluepoint, and it's just, that's one of the reasons why it's like people are going to forget the Bluepoint thing because of the Xbox stuff that's happening right now. But the reality is that why, same thing about like when I'm talking about Asha committing to the developers, why are Hiroshi Totoki and the other PlayStation leadership not sitting down in a room and hearing, we want to make a Bloodborne remake, where the developers are saying we want to make a I'm sorry, I know this is not about PlayStation, but I mean this is directly relevant. If a developer wants to say, I'm going to make a Bloodborne remake and it's going to be the best remake that's ever going to happen, and it's going to give you so much free money on the table, and you don't tell your marketing team to go and give a fucking golden house to Miyazaki so we can make a deal with FromSoft to make this happen, I don't know why you're in this business to begin with. And I think that that's the energy that we want to see from Asha in this case. And I think that's the energy that we want to see from Xbox, to just like nuance. When I talk about like you talking about, you know, they're talking the talk, but they have to walk the walk. Yeah. I want to see the downstream effects of Asha committing to these developers.
Because keeping us on that point is like the developers, the studios, because that's the big thing a lot of people have talked about, especially at Xbox. It's just like, what is the job security? I mean, that's the whole industry right now, honestly. But like at Xbox, I think Xbox becomes the subject of that because they have so many, you know, they have so many IP and studios, so they become like the centerpiece of a lot of that. So that's the whole point of this. It's just like, somehow through the PR or whatever, you got to establish like a great message, maybe even a great, I don't know, contract or whatever, but just some sort of thing that comes out to the public. That's like, so everybody knows. And if we cross this, we are held accountable. Like we are going to take care of our studios. And if we feel that we can't, we are going to let them become independent again. You know, now that the price to that may be like, hey, if we acquired IP through you, we get to keep the IP. You know, that's probably the fair trade. And it's just like, listen, and I would take it, you know, it's like, listen, I would hate, if I was Tim Schafer, I would hate to lose Psychonauts. Like, that's my baby, but it's like, I don't want my studio to get shut down. Like,
I'd be fine with losing Kiln at the extent, at the expense of keeping my studio. That's all I'm saying. I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry.
But we only got a month and a half or whatever left. But no, it's funny because that one we are totally in alignment of. Like, in fact, that's first and foremost to me. It's just like, if they can establish some great message, some great disclosure or something that like just makes the public and those studios just feel like, okay, we still have to try our best because we will lose a lot if we don't succeed. However, at least we will not lose everything, you know? So
and just as a closing thought on that point, again, not a sexy take, not a hot take that everybody's going to get excited about. But I think that's a thing that would like go so much further to kind of establish more goodwill is that I think Asha, it would behoove her to take a step back. She does not need to be a Phil Spencer personality for the Xbox community. I think it would be, especially because of who she is.
I'm with you. Like, I'm with you.
Like, I think it would be like, show up at a showcase, show up at the end of a showcase and be like, you've seen a lot of good games today. This is our plan. This is me. You know, I'm steering the ship and you're going to get that. But like, we don't have to be doing interviews 6 months out of the year. We don't have to be, you know, going over to Tokyo Game Show. Like we just don't have to. And I think I think her head is going to be in the right place. And I'm hoping to see that from her.
Yeah. I'm like, that's something that was in the back of my mind, but I'm just like, I don't know if that would be a goodwill thing, but I want that too. I'm like, if Matt Booty's really the one that's in charge of the content, then just make Matt be that person now or whatever. Sure. But if you need one, then But another one I want to bring up or just some ones that I got from Twitter. These are actually like pretty interesting ones. No offense to the YouTube peeps, but I got two. Nathaniel Squire, bring Major Nelson back to Team Xbox. Dude, if we talk about like just goodwill, that would be hilarious. I don't see them ever doing that. You know who Major Nelson is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Larry Bird.
Yeah. Major Nelson. Yeah. Like if anybody's like a wee lad, he was kind of the face of Xbox for a while. And that would be kind of funny if they did bring him back. Supposedly I think he did just go to the Xbox office. I think I'm not 100% confident about that, but I think I saw like a picture and he's like, oh, I had a great meeting with these guys or whatever. So I don't know, but that would be like one of those moments that because in her statement, like, we want to recommit to Xbox. We want to go back to Xbox. That was part of like one of her 3 promises. That would be a moment that OG Xbox fans would be like, Nelson's coming back. I don't know how much that'll actually serve, but it's like a fan thing. It's a fan thing. Yeah. But the other one that's maybe more, a word is, if their goal is from Jason Dill on Twitter, if their goal is a return to Xbox, then there's one thing they can do right now to show everyone that they mean it. And that is dropping Burger King Trilogy into Game Pass. If they don't, they're cowards. But, yeah, I'm definitely...
Man, fuck the Burger King Trilogy. Where's my Blinks? I want a Blinks. Give me another one.
I will say...
That was an Xbox.
That was. Yeah, that was.
Okay. Okay.
Nick, I can't find this other one that I wanted to plug in as maybe a finale to the Power Hour, and then we have like a fun game I want to play too, and maybe we can just speed run some other ideas. But like, I just want, we're closing into the hour, but like, I don't know who did the original tweet, but there was this thing that like Asha was going around Twitter, or maybe her AI was, who knows? But but you know, she was responding to a lot, and somebody took a picture of like the only on Xbox tag that was on like the OG Xboxes, and it's just like, listen, if you really care about this brand and saving it, you got to bring the exclusives back. It just made us feel the reason to go to Xbox. It was what made us in the Xbox ecosystem, and without that, we don't know what Xbox is even for. And then she goes, heard, or whatever. I forgot it was like noted. Or I forgot what the word was, but
yeah, she said heard.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? Like, if that would be a big public statement. I don't know if that would be goodwill. Maybe that's the question. It's like, do you think that would be goodwill? And if so, with who?
Yeah.
That's honestly tough, right?
Yeah. I don't think that their strategy is exclusives anymore. And I think it would be a very unwise for them to be like, we have this thing. It's like the idea is that the theory is that if you build it, they will come model. And I think that's proven over and over and over again not to work for Xbox in the past. And I think part of the thing is that, you know, if you look at what consoles,
that's the statement. Sorry to interrupt, today, but that's the statement that Phil Spencer said way back. He's like, it doesn't matter if we make 11 out of 10 games. Like, yeah, we lost the worst generation. People are entrenched where they are. Like, so anyways, keep going.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, if there aren't enough Xboxes on the market, you could make a Last of Us game on Xbox that's exclusive, and it's just not going to sell. And the thing is that like, I genuinely think that combining your services with Steam, combining your services with PC is going to expand you out of the Western market entirely. And it's going to bring you to China. It's going to bring you into Japan. It's going to bring you into those Eastern markets where Xbox has been trying to knock on that door for so long. And I genuinely think by doing that, I mean, and they own Call of Duty, they own, you know, Warzone, and, you know, all of these other smaller, lesser known titles that are still existing in the marketplace. I mean, Minecraft, for goodness sakes. I mean, people still are playing that to this day.
Finding ways, games. I would say finding ways to more so compete with Steam. You know, if there's a competition, compete with Steam. Like, try to figure that out if you can. That's tough, but yeah.
Yeah. It's and exactly like you said, you know, the market share that they lose by having their services on Steam, you know, like drive consumers to the platform, drive it to their launcher, whatever the case may be. I know people have huge opinions about launchers, and I think like Epic has shown that, you know, they're giving away games for free and people still won't go. But like, really, that's not really an argument, because if you look at the games that Epic gives away, are they games that you are dying to play? Not really. So Xbox has to find a way to bring games that people are dying to play and have it readily available on platforms where people are already playing.
Here's my thought on that. Like, if that was our final idea of earning goodwill, and if we think it's a good idea or not, like make Xbox games exclusives again, I personally would be like, with me, this kind of goes back to an earlier point that we're saying, clarity. I would very much dig the clarity of whether they're exclusive or not. You know, Like right now, we're talking about this story that leaked out today or something that like supposedly PlayStation's maybe backtracking on being so into the PC market or something. But that's like he said, she said situations. And I would love, this would earn goodwill with me. You know, I don't know with a lot of people, but it would with me. I got tired of Phil always, you know, case by case, zabaza, you know, all these things. That's just like, you know, loosey goosey, kumbaya. Like, I think it would be pretty neat if I love Phil, but you know, it's, you know what I'm talking about. And I think it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Asha just boldly said, you know, and who knows, maybe she could state some facts to back it up or something. Listen, we have done this. We had this plan, or Xbox has had this plan to really expand who gets to play our games and stuff. We are going to continue with that plan but while also taking care of our core fan base, our Xbox players. So what we are doing, because we know exclusives are part of the market, but we're just not doing that game anymore. However, if you are an Xbox user, we are releasing our games 1 year early to you. And or something like that, you know, where she just boldly says that and she backs up the data, like you were bringing up, Nick, but they would lose a lot of money. Well, we released freaking Forza Horizon 5 to PlayStation 4 years later, and it's in their top 5 sellers. We released this thing years later, and it's a top seller, and so on. Sea of Thieves became like one of the most pre-ordered games on the PlayStation market. And it's like, these are games that are years old. So we see our PlayStation players want these games. However, we have to acknowledge our core base, which is the Xbox platform. That is where you get Game Pass. That is where you get the 10% discount. That is where you get these games a year early. That is where you get Xbox. And some bold ass statement like that, it's the middle ground where it's like, we are not exclusive permanently, but we are establishing going forward the first year we take care of our fans first. And our fans on other platforms, we are coming to you later, but we're coming to you. That I would love that. And whether I agree with it or not, at least it's a bold statement. It's not case by case. It's not will be, whatever. This is the exact plan. Verbatim, that's what we're doing. Yeah. Like it or not. And I'm like, bold. It's bold, but at least I understand it. But
it's true.
So we'll see. That's my comment on that. But yeah. Anyway.
I like it. Clear, direct.
That's all. Just clarity, man. This is Xbox. Not this is an Xbox. This is Xbox. but yeah, speedrun ideas that I didn't get to, but I said the first and foremost is just honestly the clarity and the shutdowns. But just I'm with you about the studios. I would love just green lighting projects. If somehow she showed the risk factor and it's like, you're still making games like that. If she showed that, as well as some partners they're working with, well, maybe this is Matt's department or whatever. And it's just like, look, we're making a Killer Instinct game with this partnered studio. Here's Kojima with OD. And guess what? Scalebound's back, baby. And whatever, like, you know, they do shit like that. Like that's just like to get people going. No way she got that to happen. Again, we're just talking about like random ideas, but that was an idea I had as well, if we're just totally in the land of fantasy. But anyway, your final comments.
Yeah, man. I again, I hate to come back down to doubling down on the realism. I hate to do it to you, but I just
don't end us on a sad note, Nick.
It's not a sad note. It's not a sad note. It's a good note. The thing is that she has been adamant that we're not bringing AI to this platform. She has been adamant that AI is a tool that helps people create the art, but the people are at the center of the art that they make. And I want her to keep reiterating that. That's going to go a long way to establish goodwill. That's going to go a long way. And that's going to wrap up into a lot of what we're talking about here.
I like it.
I want to see that going forward.
Yeah. Nick, my challenge, I have a challenge for you because this is Codename Good Game. We have a game that we're going to play.
As long as it's not a fucking blind react, man. Sorry. Bleep that
no,
out
it's not. No, I don't do those. They trademarked that. Kidding. Plug into the gaming duo.
I love the game duo pod. I love those boys. Shout out to Robin.
I love that challenge, man. But and a shout out to you listening. I want you to tell us like what is not completely outside the realm of possibility, but possible, and maybe she got some people upstairs to back her up or whatever. But just like, what is some things that Asha could do in her first year to really earn some goodwill with gamers, but especially Xbox fans? I would love to know if you agree with our ideas or disagree, or something we didn't mention, or so on. But and I appreciate the patrons. Thank you guys very much. The Kiwi Guardians, Sea Green, Steffi, Supertone, Madsen, Fox, Joey, Ninja. Guys, thank you very much for making this content possible. I really appreciate you. But Nick, we have a game we're going to play, which this game is called, do I have the button? Over or under?
Oh my God. Okay. All right.
I haven't played this with you, I think. Rob's been a victim of this many times. Rob's been the victim of this game many times. No. But if you don't know what over or under is, it is essentially a game that I am going to give you a stat. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the stat will either be over a number or under. So if I set my example, I always tell people is, if the question is 2 plus 2 is what? Over or under 3.5? The answer would be?
Over.
There you go. So that's how it works. Okay. Now, because we were talking about CEOs today, I have CEO related questions of gaming corporations. And it's funny though, because during this whole podcast, you actually mentioned one of the questions and I was like, Uh-oh, he's done his research. So we will see. So my first question to you, Nick, is, do I have other sounds? Oh, I do. Oh, all right. The question: Phil Spencer famously started at Microsoft as an intern in 1988 and stayed with the company until his retirement this month. Is his total tenure at Microsoft over or under 35.5 years? This should be an easy one.
I'm not a math guy, dude. You said 2025 minus 1988.
I'm giving you an easy one here.
Over or under 35.5 years?
Yes.
I'm going to say over.
That is correct. It is over.
Yes.
All right. Yes. I shouldn't have given you the year there. Right? I forgot I put the year, and that's like, no, wait, that gives the answer. That's stupid. So you're welcome. That's a freebie. Yeah, Phil spent exactly 38 years at Microsoft. That's wild. Yeah. Yeah. And a neat little thing. Most people switch jobs, like I guess every 3 years, but Phil stayed for over 30. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Another one. The big paycheck. EA. Phil might be the face, but EA's Andrew Wilson is often cited for his high compensation. In this fiscal year ending March 2025 or March 2026, 2025, so last year, fiscal year, was Andrew's total compensation over or under, crazy, $35.5 million. EA's CEO, what was his total compensation in his last fiscal year? $35.5 million, over or under?
I really hate this guy. I don't like Andrew Yang. Yeah. I'm going to say over. I thought it was in the 50s.
So you think he made more than $35.5 million?
Yeah, I think so. I could be wrong.
The answer is under.
Damn.
He made in his last fiscal year, he was compensated $30.5 million.
Oh, okay.
So
close.
A little bit under. That's still an outrageous amount of money.
5 milli short.
To put that into perspective, he made 260 times what the median EA employee earns. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. That's
what happens, man. You work your way up to CEO, and I guess you get paid a lot. So you make a lot of big decisions.
That's not what happens. That's
not what happens.
It's not what happens. The CEO of our, I can't release that. I can't release that information, but our CEO makes significantly less money than that.
Yeah.
I can confirm. Yeah. I've seen the numbers.
The third question, the revenue record. 2025 was a massive year for Microsoft Gaming, mostly thanks to Activision finally closing. Was Xbox's total annual revenue for the 2025 fiscal year over or under 25 billion?
Yeah. So it was just
25.
25 billion. You said, okay, it's under.
That is correct. That is correct. I was like, this was the question that I was like, he literally knows the answer to this because he mentioned it or he has the facts up on screen. Yeah, that was their highest year ever, apparently. So far you have gotten 2 right, even though that first one was kind of a freebie. This is where the final 2 questions. Let's see if you can manage to get 1 or 2 right, because Nintendo.
They're gonna be tough.
Nintendo. While Xbox just had a leadership change, Nintendo's Shuntaro Furukawa has been a steady hand since he took over as the 6th head of Nintendo. As of today, has Furukawa-san's tenure as president of Nintendo been over or under 7.5 years? He's the 6th head of the company. Has he been that for over or under 7.5 years? I'm not giving you a year this time.
Nintendo leadership like that. 6th head. And he's been over or under how many years?
7.5.
7.5.
So pretty much
5 is really throwing me off.
It's
really
pretty much like it was a 7 or
Yeah.
less or 8 or more, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Japanese companies retain their employees for a long time. I think he's been there longer. I think it's over.
All right.
I'm going.
Nick says over. Nick says over. Shuntaro Furukawa took office June 28th, 2018, which means he has been there for 7.67 years.
Let's go.
Just barely. Just barely. I even messed with you by saying 8 or over.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, he's already outlasted. Other fun fact: he's already outlasted several of his peers at other tech giants. So, yep, he's been there for a bit. Not as long as Phil, but he's doing his job. Switch 2.
He's in the Switch business.
Give us Fire Emblem. And your final one. You've already got 3 out of 5, but I'm kind of hoping you get this because that first one felt like a freebie. Anyways.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So, the face of the stage, Sean Layden. You know Sean Layden?
I do know Sean. I'm familiar with Sean.
The PlayStation boy. Sean Layden was famous for his themed t-shirts and high energy E3 presentations, like the year you revealed Crash Bandicoot, the remasters. Between taking over for Jack Tretton in 2014, aka being the head of PlayStation, and Sony's decision to stop attending the show, did Sean lead the main PlayStation E3 press conference over or under 5.5 times?
Did he lead the main PlayStation?
So how many E3s was he in? Like he was the head of PlayStation.
Head of PlayStation. Over or under how much?
5.5.
5. Well, you keep getting the 0.5s, and that's really throwing me off.
So this one, at least, it is a definitive.
Yeah.
You know
There's
what?
no
0.67.
I'm going to say under. I'm going to say under for Sean Layden.
Sean Layden was the head of PlayStation at E3 for 5 consecutive E3 press conferences. So that is under, sir.
Yes.
Yep. 2014 through 2018, 5 shows.
Can I get a trophy for this? I need a trophy. I'm gonna put it up on
another
my wall back
trophy.
here.
Here you go. You see, this is the little bleach, the little bleach candy. Yeah.
There's
your trophy.
I love that little Pez dispenser.
Yeah, I like this note. In those 5 years, he gave us the Big 3 E3, which was 2015, to which they revealed the Final Fantasy VII remake, Shenmue 3, and The Last Guardian. That was a good one.
It is insane to think that FF7 Remake was revealed while E3 was a thing. Isn't that crazy?
Kingdom Hearts 3 was revealed.
I never got the chance to go.
I did. 2017, that was like the first year they opened it to the public. And yeah, it's I mean, yeah, it was only open to the public for 2 or 3 years. So, but it was cool. It was cool to go, but it was definitely packed because of that. But anyway, but yes, sir, you got 4 out of 5. So very well done. Do I get an applause? Yes, I do. There you go. There's your trophy. Well done. Well done. Well done. Nick, our potentially future fantasy critic of 2026. He wins the over under. Will he win fantasy critic though? Will Asha do our suggestions? We have to wait and find out. But Nick, thank you very much for joining this episode. I hope you had fun. Any other comments or plugins before we go for the Friday Night Gamecast and yourself?
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Thank you, Tony. We are recording this episode as of the eve of Resident Evil 9 Requiem, the latest show, which went up on feeds at 3 o'clock this morning. I know because I was editing till 12 a.m. last night, is our definitive FNGC review for Resident Evil 8. So please go listen to that on all your podcasting platforms. I have one question for the Samurai KBG. What was the game that you tried to pull in Fantasy Critic this week?
I don't want to be tricked here.
Darn it. I thought I had it for a second.
Oh my God, we have bids.
We have bids available.
All right, Nick, I'm going to give you some inside knowledge, and this episode goes up tomorrow, so the boys will know.
Let's go.
None of these are me. None of these are me. And Fantasy Critic, apparently there's a counter bid for Phantom Blade Zero, Pokemon Pokebia. That was definitely Onyx. Or Rob. The Eternal Life of Goldman and Titanium Court. What the hell is Titanium Court? I don't know. But anyways, none of those were me. That's my only insight I'll give you. That's my only insight I'll give you.
That's a pull.
That's a pull. That's a pull. And counter picking Phantom Blade Zero, bro. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm a little nervous.
Who did it? Anyways, you listening? Why would somebody counter pick Phantom Blade Zero? Let us know. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much, Nick, for being a part of this. And let us stay tuned as to what Asha does. And if you want more Power Hour gaming discussions, make sure you listen to the next episode of Codename Good Game as we approach episode 50. Oh my goodness. Till then, Toodles McFruitles. Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Asha Dasha. What is it again?
Asha Sharma.
Well, I know Asha Sharma. Yeah, Asha Sharma. Mm-hmm. We don't know who this person is, Nick.
I do.
Put that during the end screen, Tony. I do. He says. All right.